Bro, it's fine.
He's multitasking.
Hello, and welcome to Broker Than You. I'm your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. I would like to thank our sponsors at Procyon Partners. They specialize in employee benefits, wealth management, and retirement planning. President Sean Rabinowitz, proud supporter of our podcast network, and we love him very much. Green Street Trust International, owned and operated by Rennell Jump. They specialize in tax plans for businesses large and small. They will save you money or give you a big fat return on your taxes. To schedule your free strategic tax planning session today, go to www.greenstreettrust.com. Pete Finch and the Finch Law Firm is out of Bridgeport, Connecticut. If you've suffered any type of personal injury, a slip and fall, car accident, your mother-in-law ran you over with her car, your wife decided to stab you, the Finch firm is for you. Pete has won legal battles all over the state of Connecticut, and he will go to war to get every dollar you deserve in compensation. And just remember, if you're ever in a pinch, call Finch. His website is thefinchfirm.com. Dynamic Human Performance is owned and operated by Andre Dixon in a state-of-the-art 5,000 square foot facility in Hartford. He trains boys and girls of all ages, of all different sports. He also started a boot camp program 7 days a week, 6 a.m. You want to get in shape, go to Andre. He has an athletic development program where he takes boys and girls. They pick a sport of their choice. He develops them from the ground up, helps them to reach their full potential. And Andre has also sent boys and girls to college on scholarship for all different types of sports. So if you want to work with the best, go work with Andre. Down south, in contrast, we have Julius Williams, who runs the Trench Mob. He trains offensive and defensive linemen in Decatur, Georgia. They compete in 5v5 tournaments all over the country. It's offensive versus defensive linemen. They have rounds. They have a scoring system. And this past year, Julius's Trench Mob was undefeated in every tournament they attended. They also did a college camp circuit where every member came with them, and they go to college showcase camps. And proud to say, every camp they attended, a member from the Trench Mob was awarded. Every camp they attended, someone from the Trench Mob was awarded a scholarship offer, which is outstanding. So to work with Julius, go to battleofthetrenches.com. And now for the minute of the hour, we got a nice group today. We'll start down at the bottom. Finally back. Laban Marsh, great to see you, sir.
Hey, listen, real quick, because I kind of feel underdressed. I have to disclose.
Will you stop with the underdress?
This is in honor of the Hulk, dude. Oh. But it gets to show off my war wounds. Like, this was from when I was with you guys. This is the replacement from 8 years ago. So, you know, yeah. I listen, the best line, and you guys can use this, when I see somebody with a cutout shirt or a tank top, I tell them, hey, you got a string hanging from your shirt. Oh, that's your arm. And then let people use it. It's a good one, man. It's a good one. And Fresh, I see you doing your workouts, bro. I can't even watch your workouts because I feel bad that I don't do it, man. I love that you're doing it. Razul, awesome to have you back. But you take the stage back, Steve. I just wanted to disclose that early on. That
well,
this
you
is
just
in honor
introduced
of the
everyone, so yeah. Ned Von Young, Fresh Fold Laundry Company. Ned Von is here to join us as well. He appeared a couple weeks ago and actually generated more questions than Laban usually gets. Fresh, great to see you. Great to have you back.
What up? What up? Good to be back. Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Razul, unmute yourself. Okay.
Here we go.
Razul Wallace and Ja. Great to see. Well, great to see Ja at least. Razul.
That's messed up.
Razul, House of Changes, commercial real estate, and he hired an amazing project manager, Ashley Powder, who I'll get to speak with tomorrow. Very excited about that. Happy to have you on, Razul.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to be back.
All right. So, Nadvan, we had several questions that came in asking because, you know, your portfolio is quite diversified. And I remember you saying, I think it was your mother who kind of explained to you that that's something good that you should try to do. But people were asking, what is the best way, and everyone can take this question, we'll get down to it. What is the best way to get started with your portfolio if you want to diversify it? Because that's what several people asked. Like, is it buying a commercial property? Is it starting a business? Is it buying a residential property? If you were to advise someone coming out and they want to build their portfolio, how would you advise them on getting started?
Well, the way I would answer that is, you know, it's a lot of different ways that most people answer it. I mean, I'm gonna try to keep it as simple as possible. And then I'm gonna use a Labanism as well. So first is the best way to start is actually just to start.
Right, to get it moving.
To do something, right? To go to pick, whether it be, all right, I'm going to start in real estate. I'm going to start with, I'm going to start wholesaling. I'm going to start doing something. But eventually you want to get something to hold on to. A lot of times the easiest way to do that is you can start with your personal property, own something, right? So start with owning something. Once you have ownership, it gives you, it's a different mindset. It gives you a different type of understanding and responsibility to the way that you attack something, from whether if you rented something or leased something. So I would say start there. Start with just starting, right? Don't be afraid to get out there, start, and then own something. And then the Labanism is, you know, when he talks about how to eat an elephant, right? You got it one bite at a time. So you start with that first bite. But that first, usually I would recommend your first property that you have. It's a, you know, I'll drop a little jewel, and a strategy that I showed is to utilize. They have certain government programs and stuff out there that you can utilize and get into a property for very little, like 3.5%. I think it still is.
FHA.
Using the FHA, like a 2 or 3K loan, a construction loan. And I encourage you, especially when you're young, to get into a multi-unit, live in one unit, and income. You use the other one for you know, the other one or ones, if you will. You get up to 4 units. Utilize that as you know, to offset. Usually, it's going to produce you income, especially if you have like a triplex or a quad, which is 3 or 4. Right, but the least you should do, it should be doing is a duplex, and I think that's how I think everybody should make the sacrifice and start that way. Like a lot of people like want to get this dream home, and I want to do this to it. Nope, don't do that. You know, go get something, get a multi. You know, grind a little bit, especially when you're single. Just go live a little bit, and then start to build it up from there. That's your first one. Once you do that, then you'll start to go into other things.
Right.
And then,
right.
And the way that last thing, like the way that you diversify is as you start to build on the one thing that you start to get good at, you start to befriend people that are good at other things. And once you can lean on their knowledge to start to branch into other things, and that's how you would diversify. Go ahead, ladies.
And I'll just piggyback on Fresh because he is exactly right. And I was fortunate to work for 2 guys in Glastonbury, Connecticut. And they told me the first property you should buy is a multi-unit and live in one side. And the best thing my wife and I did when we moved home in 04 is we bought a duplex real close to a hospital. And the first floor tenants, when we bought it, that were on a lease, were the nuns from the Sisters of St. Joseph. And to give you an idea financially, we paid $100,000 for the duplex. Our debt service, meaning our mortgage, taxes, and everything, was like $795, and the downstairs tenant was paying $525. And so Meg and I, what we did is we set up a separate account. Right, we bought it personally, but we set up a separate account, and we personally wrote a check for $525 into that account. So technically, rent was coming in at $1,050 a month.
Oh, I got
and
you.
our debt service was $795. So we immediately started positively cash flowing. And then the other thing that I would piggyback with Fresh's idea to get
That's really
started.
smart. Yeah.
But the other thing, because my wife's in finances, what happens is if you buy like your starter home, you and your spouse just want a nice single family home with a backyard. It's a lot harder to become an investor after the fact. Meaning I can go to the bank if I own a 2-unit and say, hey, I want to buy a single family owner occupant. Well, I'm going to keep the same owner occupant rate that I got when I bought my duplex, right? And they're not going to come back and say, hey, are you still living there? You've got that acquired, that loan based on you personally occupying the property, so you can start renting that portion that you were living in and go buy the single family that you want. And that's what Meg and I did over by the zoo, and we still rent that out once we moved out to the home we're in now. So it's definitely a way to really, just like in, investing in general, is compounding your equity by starting in something. And I remember my boss is saying, listen, you guys live in apartments right now or in college dorms. You're next to other tenants or people. So now's the easiest time to live in a 4-unit, 3-unit duplex. And to just take it one step further, as soon as you get into 5 units plus, it becomes commercial. So that's where, to Fresh's point, find a duplex, a triplex, a quad. But once you get beyond that, it goes commercial. And so you can owner occupy, and a lot of times do a really low down payment if you're going to live in one of the units. And even as investors, like when we buy our offices, they know that we're renting it to our own business, and so they don't require 25% down. They only require 20% down. So that was a great point, Fresh. I know you're on point. I love that, and I love that we're covering East Coast here, top to bottom.
Razul, you can unmute yourself. You have obviously diversified your portfolio with the House of Changes, residential and commercial. So, how would you answer that for somebody who's just getting started? How would you advise them the best way to go?
I'm smiling because what Fresh and Laban just said is exactly what I did also, and what I would recommend. It's like the lowest hanging fruit, the simplest, easiest way to get into ownership. Because once you start to acquire more properties that are non-owner occupied, now the barrier to entry is significantly higher, right? So FHA is 3.5% down, right? Just for quick, easy numbers on now, let's say $500,000. If you have to come up with 20% of $500,000, you're looking at $100,000 down, right? If you put 3.5% down, it's closer to
15, 20,
like 17,
Yeah.
5, 17.5, something like that.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
So that's a huge difference. And you get into it, and you get to start to understand the income and the expenses. You start to understand assets and liabilities, how the basics of property management. And it's the lowest risk in that you got to pay for somewhere to live anyway, right?
Right.
For me, when I got into it with the 3-family that I was living in, and the numbers were my mortgage is $1,200 a month, and I was getting $1,600 from the other 2 units, right? So instead of having to pay, at the time I probably could have rented somewhere for $1,200 a month. So instead of having to pay $1,200 a month in rent and be a negative $1,200 a month, now I can bank what I would have been paying for rent to save for my next investment and get all that experience, and I'm building equity in the property, right? So it's such a huge to me, that is the most basic. And then you also hear a lot about how people say, like a lot of these financial advisors saying, like, your home isn't an asset, it's a liability. And there's
Really?
significant truth in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or it's two-sided, right? Because it's nuanced. If you have a single family home, right, you're building equity in it, right? And it's the way that most wealth has been accumulated in families historically. But if you look at it from the standpoint of the cash flow perspective, month to month, living in it, it takes money out of your pocket rather than put money into your pocket. So that's where the nuance is. Now, if you get a, let's say I like threes and up better because the numbers tend to be a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a two family, you don't see as many two families where the entire mortgage is covered by the other unit, right? But when you get to 3 and 4, usually they are. So now you can live in one unit and basically live rent free. Your tenants are paying the mortgage, so you're building equity. You're building equity. You don't have rent to pay, so the benefit, and you get additional tax benefits. So there's like 3 layers of benefits, and it becomes exponential. In addition to like what you're learning about vetting tenants, right? How to get tenants, how to vet them, you know, it's just the to me the most significant way to do it. And you start like Fresh said, and it's just starting and not
Yeah.
starting in a capacity where you're like trying to
You're
do too
draining
much,
yourself.
because then
Yeah.
you get right because it's easy to get analysis paralysis where you're trying to do
Yeah.
something big and you never get started because there's so much to plan for. So
I
me, when
wrote
I
that
start
down.
something,
Analysis
what
paralysis.
analysis 100%.
Right there, bro.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But and I think that's where when a lot of people that want to get started, if they talk to these deep investors, they start talking about cap rates and like trying to go way over somebody's head. It is really as simple as what is your debt service based on how much money you put down, and then what is your monthly, outflow, and then what is your income. I mean, it's very simple where again, the way to balance a budget is expense or revenue. And so, like, what I love about investment properties, duplexes, triplexes, is that you can find ways to generate more revenue from them. Like, honestly, putting laundry units in, coin laundry in your 4 unit, things like that, where you can help grow your revenue, as opposed to knowing what your expenses are and making sure we've talked about that before. Municipalities, where your tax is at, things like that. But definitely that analysis paralysis, some investors, they just analyze everything. And if it doesn't have the right cap rate or something else, they don't do it. And then 5 years later, they still own nothing because
Right.
they're over analyzing and not
all
just
talk.
like Fresh said, just going and get started. Just even if it's a mistake, right? You win or learn. You don't win or
That's
lose.
what you said.
And
Yes.
it can be painful, but that is where seek advisors, you know what I mean? Really do your due diligence and go ahead and roll the dice. But I mean, you just have to get out and do it. But again, the other thing is, and you've got people here, learn vicariously through other people. Like Coach Rapone used to tell us, when you're standing in line as the third one, it's like, okay, get mental reps through the people in front of you. So talk to other investors. You've got 3 guys here that have invested that all say, start with a multi-unit. So if you're a young person looking to buy something, start with a multi-unit. So
Right.
it's great advice. And this is another reason we've talked about investment openly and transparently. Like 3 to 5% of people actually will take action. And so you can share as much information as you want. Most people aren't going to do anything.
Aren't going to do it. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So something that Labe said I wanted to touch on. I think if we should go around and talk about how to add value to investment properties, right? I'll start.
Well, that was another question: how to increase the value of your investments. Yes.
And I'll just do some small stuff, right? And I'll start with something small. So Laban mentioned how you can do coin laundry, right? You can also actually, like if you have like washer dryer hookups, you can lease, if you will, or lease the washer dryers to your tenants, if you will. Like you could charge them for like, hey, we will provide, but this is what it is, so that you can tell them like, we'll give you a maintenance package. You don't have to worry about if they break down. You'll have all of that stuff. You know, your maintenance tech or person, whoever you have that that does the property anyway, or property management company, can handle that stuff anyway. But you can extract revenue that way. Pets, right? You can charge pet fees.
Yep.
Correct.
Somebody have a pet, just put it in there anyway. A lot of people go, no pets. Nope, don't do that. Just charge some additional amount, because people treat those pets like children.
Yes.
So if you charge them a good amount, you get a good extra $100 a month just for a pet, right?
Yeah.
And that's a small dog. You want a big dog, it's gonna be 125 or more, whatever. So you know what I mean? Like, you just, it's those things. Those two things I won't snatch up anymore, but
no, but you're right. And I remember we would do when a tenant moves in, we charge them like $500 for a pet fee. And I don't call it a deposit so that you can keep it. But then my brother Levi's like, dude, I charge an extra $50 a month. And if you do the math, that's a total of $600. And now if they move in for a second, they stay a second year or third year, Levi's making an extra $600 each year versus my one-time $500 pet fee. So that's a great idea. The other thing that I like to add value, especially on the single families, because Meg and I did this with one home that we ended up flipping. It was a Cape Cod, 1.5 story. And we took a room that was just kind of dead space, a closet above the first floor bathroom. And I dormered it up and added a second story full bath above the first floor. So now we bought it, as a 3-bed, 1-bath. And then we sold it as a 3-bed, 2 full bath. So if you can sneak in a half bath somewhere or a full bath, and it's got to make sense. Like, we have in our area what they call a Pittsburgh commode, where it's just a toilet in the middle of an unfinished basement. Not like that. I'm talking add value by seeing the space. And usually it's like, okay, well, there's space above the first floor because you don't want to have to run the stack the whole way across the house. It has to make sense logistically. But there are definitely ways to add value, like that, even physically to the home. And then, of course, a tenant is going to pay more for a 3-bed, 2-bath than they are for a 3-bed, 1-bath, especially if you can do an ensuite, make it a little bit better for that major bedroom. So that was a great idea, though, Fresh. Absolutely.
I'm going to add one more thing, what you just said. So I had a property in Baltimore, right? And the row homes, if people invest in Baltimore, they know the row homes in Baltimore, it's like a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom, right? The bathroom is upstairs. So if you have visitors, they got to go upstairs to the bathroom. But downstairs, in between, it's like I guess it would be your living dining area. It's like a dining room area. There is most people use it as like a food pantry closet.
Exactly.
And I would turn those into half baths.
Yeah.
That half bath changed the whole value of that property just because. And it had a similar situation to what he mentioned, like in the basement, they had like a whole toilet situation. So what I would say, what Laban mentioned is, this is a part of your due diligence. Know your area.
Yeah.
Know the trends that are in your area to take advantage of them. So if when you're going into the property, you can go, okay, I see this hasn't been converted, right? I know that this type of house, you could say what you said, it was a Cape Cod, you said?
Yeah.
So you go, okay, there's a Cape Cod's here. First thing I'm gonna do is go look and see if that space up there has been converted. If it hasn't, that's already a tool in your toolbox that you can add and go, okay, that's how I can add value to this. I know I can make some money back just there, because that's where you make your money. Kitchens and bathrooms. So kitchens 100%. And bathrooms is what everything else is just 4 walls. Kitchens and bathrooms is where you make money.
And then to that point, we had another Cape Cod that we bought that was called a bungalow. It was a 2-bedroom bungalow, but if you go upstairs, again, it had a high enough ceiling height that we bought it as a 2-bedroom bungalow and added a 3rd bedroom upstairs. We haven't added a bath because it didn't make sense for the layout. We would have had a dormer it. But same thing, if you take it from a 2-bed to a 3-bath, you're going to get higher rent. You're going to add value to the property. And then there was an instance, following up on Fresh, is, like, we've got the city of Erie was built 120 years ago. Now, 120 years ago, they didn't have the wardrobe that people have now. So you would have these tiny little closets. And a buddy of mine had a 4-bedroom house, just he and his wife. So they didn't need 4 bedrooms. He took and converted the tiny bathroom, right, into a walk-in closet, and then took one of the 4 bedrooms and made that into a really nice bathroom. Big bathroom. Wow. And so it now went from this, everyone in the city has tiny closets, tiny bathrooms. This guy, now he went from 4 beds to 3 beds, but anybody that wants a 3-bedroom in the city would much rather have a large bathroom and a walk-in closet. So I think, to Fresh's point, know your area, know what people are looking for in 2025 in general, and do your due diligence. So that was a great point.
Razul, what would you say about that, about increasing the value of your investment?
I think for me, what it usually looks like is just, the goal is just to increase the revenue of the property. Anything that increases the revenue of the property increases the value. And for me, what it would look like is, the way that I buy it, I usually try to, I'm usually looking for a landlord that's like tired and they kind of aren't as present. One of the things that a lot of them will do is they'll just keep the rent low, not raise the rent. And so their tenants don't bother them, essentially. And then the property kind of starts to break down a little bit.
It deteriorates, yeah.
Right? So that's a huge opportunity, because that method, I can understand the logic behind it. But what happens is your property starts to break down, right? So it's not as valuable as it could be. But then your tenants, they don't really recognize that you're not raising rent. They just get resentful towards you because you're not doing anything.
You're
but
not
you're like,
maintaining anything.
I haven't increased your rent in 5 years. Like, where do you know what I'm saying? The price of everything is going up, and you haven't. They don't. So for me, what I'm more intentional about doing is continuously making sure that the property's up to date, and increasing the rents periodically, to make sure you get that income. And it's something simple, but I know a lot of like mom and pop landlords try to avoid it or don't do it because, it can be, and there is truth to that, right? Keeping a good tenant for the long term, there's value that I can understand, especially if they're really good and they take care of the place. But I'll give you another example. I took our family in 2022. The rents were way below market. The rents that I was getting when I acquired it were about $3,300 a month for 4 units. And he really kind of did very minimal repairs of what was needed. When I took it over, I was immediately able to increase rents, because I knew that if they were to go anywhere else in the market right now, their rent is going to increase.
This is what it will be.
Almost 30% more than where they were paying. They were paying that low. So I gave them like a 5-10% increase. And I said, I'm not just going to increase, but, let me know what you need done in your units, because not only does it benefit them having a nicer space, but I'm investing in a property that I own, So within a year, I did have to evict one tenant, right? So stabilizing the property, making sure that you have good tenants in there that are paying is one way to add value. But I increased the rent from $3,300 to, by the time I sold it 1 unit vacant, but the rent for that unit would have been $5,300, would have made the gross rent $5,100, right? So that increase in income significantly increased the value of the property. But that's
is there a limit
management
on how much you can increase rent?
It depends.
Oh yeah, that's going to be based on the market.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's no limit to it, dude. It's what the market will yield, unless you live in New York City.
State.
Unless you live in New York City, where that dude might get elected and he's going to fix rents and whatever else.
It depends on where you live. So certain places have like rent control. New York City has some. Rent. It depends. Some places are rent control or rent. You have, and then they do have caps on what you can increase.
Right.
And a lot of municipalities on what you can, like, you can only increase it by like 2.5% or something like that, or like, but if you in the wild, if it's the Wild West in PA, then
no cap. No, but it goes to Razul's point. It's what the market bears. You can't charge somebody $2,500 when somebody can look online and find a place like that for $1,800. They're going to go to the $1,800. So I think you just let the market bear. But what I love, with what Razul is saying, the important part of getting in there to a mismanaged property is that the tenants are far more likely to pay on time when they know if they call you with something, you are assertive with getting somebody out there. They feel more obliged to pay on time because they called you, you took care of the problem, and you knew it was because you need to take care of your asset. They're thinking, because so many tenants have had landlords that are like, oh, I've told them 7 times about this leaky faucet, and they don't do anything. So if you're responsive, you are going to retain a tenant who's going to pay on time. And if they can't pay, they're usually going to be upfront with you because you've been so good with the communication. Communication is still key to all of it. But again, that's a great point to Razul, where you can, if you're paying attention to the market and you go into a mismanaged property and if you bump rent by $500 on that unit and they go out and try to find it, they still can't.
They're not going to find anything else.
Then go ahead and bump it. That's part of your due diligence, and then looking out for your investment or your investor's investment. So that's the stewardship of it.
Right. Nedvan, you got asked by a couple people, a couple in Raleigh, North Carolina, wanted to know, is it difficult to own or be part of properties in different states? Because I know that you're involved in different states with some of the stuff you're doing. They were curious how that works, or if there's different regulations that you have to abide by.
It can be
being non-residential.
It can be, whether it's residential or commercial, but it's all about. So, I talk about this before. I mentioned this before. Investing in real estate is a team sport, right? It's about, you're only as good as the team you put together. So if you don't have good boots on the ground, it's not structured properly. You need to, those are the things that will determine whether you can invest in or out of state. So if you are, and again, the reason why I would invest in another state, and I mentioned this before, is that depending on the market. So you have your market cycles, your 4 market cycles. So if I know, like if I specialize in investing in a, say a buyer's market, or I invest in seller's market phase 2, right? It's like, and again, I won't, but if I'm investing in a market to where I know in these types of markets how sellers tend to sell, right? Or what I'm getting in return, that's the reason why I would invest in these other markets. Unless you're willing to hop on a plane, you travel a bunch of places, I wouldn't recommend that. So that's why you build up a team in emerging markets. You always want to look for emerging markets. If you're investing around, and sometimes those emerging markets could be within your state. But again, build your team. Treat this like anything else that means something to you, right? You're not just gonna just throw money at this thing and just hope that it sticks, right? You need to know, you need to know
ROI, right?
Hey, you need to know certain terms. We've thrown out some terms already today that some people may not know about, right? You need to know some basic real estate terms. You need to know what what a return on investment is. You need to know what due diligence is. You need to know some of these basic terms and start to, and nowadays it's so easy. You can go right to ChatGPT and say, what investment terms should I know to invest in, real estate? And boom, it spits it right out. So you can have it. And you can create bots based on certain people. So for instance, for me, I didn't know a lot about, still learning about ClickFunnels, right? So learning about funnels. So I created a bot based on Russell Brunson, right? Who's like all the ClickFunnels and how to invest, how to use ClickFunnels. And it gave me so many, now whenever I have any questions about ClickFunnels, it speaks in his voice and kind of reacts the way he would and tells you so. So nowadays, so that's how you infuse technology into this old game of real estate and help it to maximize what you need to do. So hopefully, the listeners they understand, like it's not like it was, you had a much better advantage these days. Like, Laban and I and even Razul, we've done some things that, we had to hustle and bustle and hit our head a few times and be stubborn and, and make certain mistakes and learn some lessons a very hard way. Where now you don't really have to do that unless you say, I only want to go the old school way and I want to learn and I want to get these lumps. If you want to get those kind of battle wounds, go right ahead. But I wouldn't recommend it, right? I wouldn't recommend
it. Best way to learn, though. If you can't, eyes riveted. Like
now, Laban, I know that you have your area in Erie, and you particularly would not go out of state for anything. Are there any other areas in Pennsylvania that you would look at and possibly buy yourself?
I think that's the sort of thing that would come with a more of a partnership side of things, or if I was the note carrier, meaning, you know what I mean? So like if somebody said, hey, I want to invest in the State College area, right, with Penn State and all of that, like Meg's business partner owns a home just off the main drag of Penn State. He rents it all the time through Airbnb because, weekend. It's the greatest investment he's ever had. But I mean, it is something where I think you just gotta, pull back, know what you want, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, because I have heard the same thing about colleges buying up a ton of property, and they're doing what you were saying that medical school was doing in Erie.
Yeah. And again, I mean, if you have reliable people, the thing that and again, with technology, you can find, services available, but it's like, I know the HVAC guys, the electricians, the plumbers here. If I invest in State College, I've got to do more due diligence to find out reliable people and then to make sure they have a system that I know it's done and done the right way. So it's always, and again, if you have a property management company in that town that you can rely on, it's worth the price of their service to have eyes and boots on the ground, in my opinion. But everything that I own, I can drive to just so I can get eyeballs on it. Because again, I don't know, even with the rates of professionals, in our town, it might be it's very different than it is in Pittsburgh, in part because of the travel of those vendors. So it's okay to invest outside of your area, but it requires more due diligence and more oversight to make sure that everything's going the way you planned.
Razul, you've been looking in Connecticut at several different properties and other homes and commercial properties. What are you looking at specifically throughout Connecticut, and where would you next like to be involved in? Because, having the place in Norwich, where else would you like to go?
So I think Connecticut is actually a great market right now. I'm gonna ask Fresh actually how he builds his team out of state, because of the point that Laban was making. You develop a network locally that you get to understand the cost of the different services, so you have a good feel for if some people that you're familiar with that you can call quickly and easily. So to me, it's easier because you're set up and you built your network in your area if you're settled in one area. So, but in back to your question, Khalid, Connecticut overall, I'm more focused in markets like New Haven, Bridgeport, Hartford, and Norwich. I will acquire. I'm open to acquiring properties there and or businesses, because I'm kind of shifting into private equity a little bit more.
Right, you said that.
But you know, if you have a network, like for me, my market here, and it is a really good place to be. So I might be able to get better equity growth in a month, but even then I might not be able to. I really think that Connecticut is a very, all those other variables. It doesn't really make sense for me at this time to really go outside of
Outside
I'm looking
your
at.
comfort zone. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and the other thing with that, though, like what Razul's talking about in your network, like my HVAC guy, my plumber, my electrician, if I call them, I know they're going out there within the next 48 hours. But if I'm calling somebody new in a market that I'm not familiar with, they're kind of like, I don't know this guy's history. Does he pay on time? Does he wait 30 days to pay after an invoice? So it's hard to kind of build that reputation so
Yeah,
that when I call somebody, boom, they're out there right away. And I know that because going back to the point with Razul and good quality tenants, if you don't know somebody in that market and now you call an HVAC guy in the middle of winter, but they don't get out there for 5 days, that tenant is not stoked to write you a check that month. But if you get a guy that comes out like hours after they hang up the phone with you, they're like, man, I got to take care of my rent because that landlord's taking care of me and all the services. So that's the other reason I worry is that I don't have the same reputation out of town. And you can build it, but if anybody who's worked with vendors, they know even good quality vendors tend to stretch the truth a little bit as far as their time frame and what they think they can get it done in. So you just want people that are going to be responsive.
That's why Ned Vaughn said you got to have a good team. You definitely need a good team.
So you definitely got to have a good team. Something I'm gonna add. I strongly encourage two things. One, a good place to invest in. I don't know where it's happening, so I haven't spoken to my frat brother Andre. I know Drew probably know Andre Swanson. Remember he because Andre married to Michelle.
You ran track?
Yeah. So
Yep.
Andre is the owner of the soccer team that's coming in Southern Connecticut. So there's going to be a stadium. There's going to be all of this stuff. So invest.
Wow.
That's just a short understanding. That's a place to invest. So you need to all that stuff that's coming there. Wherever they're
Where in Connecticut?
It's somewhere in Southern. It might be in Bridgeport. I'm pretty sure it's probably somewhere near Bridgeport or Norwalk or something like that.
One of the areas you mentioned for
it's
sure.
Somewhere down there, right? So it's a new soccer team coming. So
yeah, you can look into it.
Yeah, so you there's one of those things is that's a good place to invest, right? For instance, we purchased our first property about 4 blocks from the Barclays Center before the Barclays Center was there, when it used to be Atlantic Yards. It was just a bunch of the old train yard. We purchased there. Needs to say property doubled the New York City property, doubled in value by the time we left. So just you got to pay attention to these trends. What's happening? What's coming? Pay attention to where cranes are. Where are the cranes coming? Where are the cranes? Right? Those are where you invest. Also, pay attention to what's happening with these economic development plans throughout your state. So it's tons of stuff always happens. So the economic development plans tell you how where you should invest from that standpoint. Right. So that's the one. My other point is, so when you mentioned, how we talking about this basically labor force and these service jobs. We spoke about this before about the trades. What I strongly encourage people to do, this is an idea that I have, I'm going to put into place, hopefully in the near future. I encourage us to start creating like scholarships or sponsoring these young people coming out of high school. We all, for the most part, probably coach somewhere and do something. Encourage these young kids to go into these trades.
Absolutely.
If you sponsor this kid to be an electrician, an HVAC person, a plumber, all of these trades that we know we're going to need. You help these guys, they're going to remember, and they will be at your beck and call to be of service. For one, you help them get to where they're going to get. They're not going to do it for free. but you'll have they're for one, they're not gonna mess you over.
They'll be loyal for
They're
sure.
gonna be loyal, and you got to get them out of young. You're basically giving an opportunity to train them. Also, when you're doing that, giving them opportunities to get on some of these deals, like, hey, you want to get on this deal? You want to get like this is what you do. You start with the youth. You got to condition them and train them early. We're in positions to do it. And it doesn't cost much to go to trade school. You're talking about
nope.
You might be looking at
a fraction of what colleges.
Less than $1,000, and you can go. All right, I can sponsor 10 kids a year, right? Right? You can do that. So, or half that, whatever the number is, whatever your comfort level is. If it's 2, but hey, just start doing it in these industries.
It makes a difference.
And with these trade schools, with these community colleges, get these kids out there. And because you already know HVAC, you already got HVAC people laid. You already probably know some electricians. Then that's where you go. Hey, you collab with them. Say, look, I want to start doing this. Would you bring on these apprentices? Would you bring these kids on as apprentices to help them? They were like, yeah, I'm looking for work. You know what I'm saying? They're looking for young people anyway. So it will create an ecosystem where you create a pipeline.
Wow.
To put yourself.
It's a network. Yeah.
So I'm suggesting it. I'm going to do it. But
that's the Steve Colley effect. If you build it, they will come. We will build a network of UConn alum. Hey, that's just right.
Razul mentioned it too, because you wanted to have job skills training for the members of the House of Changes. So it's pretty much like the same thing Nedvan's talking about. You were trying to partner with a group that does it to provide skills for the men in the house, right?
Yeah, and there's such a huge demand for tradesmen now. Huge, like the I don't know if it's the media who is primarily responsible for it, but really at promoting college, and a trade is almost looked down upon, but it's done so much so that the need for tradesmen is so significant that they can basically charge whatever they want. And most of those guys that are in the trade are in retirement age, and they don't have
replacements. They don't have
the replacements.
They don't have them.
No,
so these tradesmen are making hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, I'm about to share. I'm gonna share this video. I have some. I'm gonna share this with you, Cully. You can look at it in I sent this to someone the other day. I'm trying to remember what it is, but needless to say, there is a huge need for tradesmen. It's something like to replace the amount of to get caught up with how many plumbers are needed. It would need to be 180,000 plumbers, new plumbers a year for the next 5 years. Just get caught up.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and what we've seen, like I remember the crash of 2008, because we would go to real estate conferences throughout the country, and we'd keep going in 2009 and 2010, and people that were killing the industry in 2007, 2008 were completely out of it. And now when buildings stopped, you had a lot of these tradesmen that were framers or plumbers, whatever. They got into like the oil and gas industry. Like in Pennsylvania, we have the Marcellus Shale and some other, that drill baby drill. So as these markets shift, and inevitably there's going to be a shift to where we need to build new homes. There, like to Fresh's point with the labor, we already see there's a housing shortage because we're not keeping up with the new construction that is projected to sustain the lives. And so there's no doubt. I mean, as you see these markets begin to emerge, you've got to be licensed and certified to do that work. And then to Razul's point, you can name your price. And if you don't feel like doing that job, you don't do that job. And another thing that I was thinking about, and I don't remember where I heard it, but if you're doing like a commercial property, like say you're in a new area, what you do is you can hire 4 different electricians for 4 different floors, right? They're all doing the same work, but what is your bid? Did you come in on time? Did you come in under budget? And then after that project, you take the best of those 4 and use them going forward. And so I think that's where there are so many ways to really capitalize on, again, the emerging markets, the changing markets, to where, to Fresh's point, if you can collaborate with existing tradespeople who have companies that are losing top guys to retirement or whatever else, and now you can pair them up, but also show them that, hey, if not you, they're going to go to the competitor, because you don't want to, on that end of collaboration, you don't want to send them to somebody that is going to drop the ball or not be exposing them to really good experience and big jobs. So I think, again, I keep going back to that due diligence. And if any investor, if you ask them what their portfolio looks like, they should be happy to share with you what they've done. It's when they don't, they're not transparent, or they've got secrets, that it's like, man, this is not the type. Yeah. And I want to connect young people, tradesmen, because the other thing I tell tradespeople is you should be investing in real estate. If you're an electrician, go find every home that needs rewired and start buying those on a song, and then you rewire the whole thing, and now you've improved the value, paid yourself for the work. So there's just so many ways to capitalize, and you go back to trades, and I know that Mike Rowe has been pushing it big time. But we are going to get to the point where we just don't have enough guys to do it, and then what happens is you're paying twice as much to build a home.
And you're waiting 6 weeks to get them.
It's just general economics, where if we got to pay tradespeople more, yes, material's going to go up, but think about the labor costs that have jumped because of inflation and everything over the last 5 years even. So that's why things go up. We need good tradespeople so that we can have a better opportunity to bid jobs out and get the best price for the best work.
Nedvon, you had 2 questions from someone in Richmond, Virginia. The first one was about the commercial property, your company, the Threshold. Overall, he asked if commercial properties increase in value or end up being more valuable for resale than residential. And then he also asked if you are part of any networking groups like a Chamber of Commerce or something like that, or if that helps.
So I would say typically, generally, in terms of, I think one of the questions was like
commercial property, if it increases.
Commercial tends to have a higher value from a standpoint. The leases are usually longer.
Right.
And you pay more, it's usually higher. You pay more because it's a business that's generating, opposed to you got a residence, somebody, usually another business could come in there, even if somebody leaves typically in a relatively short amount of time. You can get turnaround with someone residential, lease, but that lease, you're dealing with a lot of times might be like $2,000 for a 2-bedroom or something like that, depending on where it is in the country. But it might be for for like a 1,000 square foot space, it might be $3,000, $4,000, depending on where it is and depending on the location. Because for one, it's about the location.
Exactly, so Laban said that.
If it's in a really good location, then the rents are just going to be higher because of the traffic and everything that it brings, and usually whoever the anchor tenant is for that particular, call it strip mall or shopping center or whatever that is. So typically that's what it is on the commercial side, and it depends. Also, I got to add a caveat on the type of commercial. What I'm talking about primarily is probably retail commercial. Again, office is still down. You got to be able to convert. You got to be able to repurpose that for something else. So on a retail side, yes, depending on that all depends.
But the other thing I was going to say about commercial rentals is that, when you have the residential side, it is their home, but some people don't take a home take care of it that well. Whereas when it's a commercial space, that is their business. That's their livelihood. They are going to make sure these floors are clean, the walls are clean. They have to do business in this space, and that's how they make money to go afford a home. And so we've always said commercial tenants tend to take much better care of the property because it is literally their livelihood. You know what I mean?
So they put food on the table.
Right, exactly. And so it goes back to that old monopoly where, 4 green houses you trade for 1 red hotel, because that red hotel, whoever's running it usually takes really good care of it because, again, it is their livelihood and how they're able to put food on their table. So that's a great point, Fresh.
Razul, what about you? Any commercial properties that you guys are looking at investing in or purchasing in your area?
None in particular right now. But I think the other thing that I've been strictly residential.
Yes.
Technically, I've had a commercial residential unit that was just 5 units or more, which commercial. But I am shifting focus to commercial more for a couple of reasons. One, that we're doing the private equity, but also one of the differences between residential and commercial. With residential, you're part of the value, right? So another house, if let's say you have a 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom house, if the nicest 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house in your neighborhood sold for $500,000, you're likely not going to get more than $500,000 for that business. The commercial property, because of comps, even if no matter how nice you make it, you're going to have a cap based on what they call comparative market analysis. But with commercial, the only limit is more based on the income or the revenue that's generated from commercial than you can a residential property. So that's one of the reasons that I want to shift to it. In addition to the fact that as we're acquiring businesses, it makes sense to me, or at least space that your business operates out of. But if you own it, you're not only got the cash flow of the business, but you're building equity in the property also.
Is that something that the investment group together wants to do? They want to get into commercial?
That is a part of the conversation.
Oh, okay.
That is a part of the conversation, yeah.
And then, like Fresh was saying, location is obviously important. So there's certain areas that you're looking at that may be a better fit than others for a commercial property.
The location is going to be tight too. You're going to pay attention to the type and what you can do with it. You got to really you're going to really get into the weeds of zoning.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's what Laban said.
To the commercial side, because you got restrictions. Sometimes you can have. So I was looking into a space out where this person is selling. They were selling an old laundromat, right? And the person bought out the business of this laundromat, which they bought this person out just for them to close their doors so that they can put all of the business over to this other laundromat that was like less than 2-3 miles away from each other, right? But now what's happening with the sale of this, and this person's going to end up selling this building that has been a laundromat for decades, and now there's a deed restriction. There's a deed restriction that it cannot be operated as a coin laundromat.
Oh my God! So they got completely screwed.
They didn't get screwed. It's just this person who bought out the business.
They didn't buy the building; they bought the business.
They boasted their own business, and they're just making sure they're making sure that they keep their lifeblood going in terms of this laundromat staying in the laundromat. Now, see, but there's always, you have to know about zoning and what the caveats are. So
that's the due diligence you were talking about.
Due diligence is very important because it says coin laundromat, right? What do I not do, right? I do not
You do not do that. Yes.
So I operate a laundry facility. So I can get in there and have it. It has all the plumbing, all of the HVAC stuff, which makes sense to me because that's what I can use it for. But then you also got to pay attention to, remember when I also mentioned you need to pay attention to economic development plan, what's happening around the area. That particular area, development is pushing towards where this location is to where it's not going to be there in the next decade, right?
There's no way, right?
Like they're going to tear that down. It's going to be probably some row home, some kind of a condo situation because it's very close to downtown and it would be very easy to walk to downtown from that location. So you have to understand, you got to go.
Yeah, that's
right.
Well,
it's a mindset.
And Fresh, you're exactly right. And we've talked about zoning before. I've got a buddy of mine who just bought a small mall that's right on a lake. And talking about zoning, one of the things that he has an idea for is to build residential above this commercial space, which is great. It's going to overlook the lake. But one of the first things I asked him was, does the township have a height restriction?
Oh, yeah.
Because, and I'm
air
telling
rights.
you,
Air rights
yeah, but
important.
You have
Are you
air
kidding
rights.
me? There's a height restriction?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
rights.
Like you can't just go build a 4-story complex if they have height restrictions in it,
Wow.
whether it's because the undulation, they don't want to block somebody's view. And it may seem silly or ridiculous, but there's nothing worse than you buying something with the assumption that you can just go vertical, and then all of a sudden you didn't realize that this township or has zoning laws that say, hey, sorry, nothing over 30 feet. So now that 4-story complex is going to be 2.5 story. I mean, it's vital to do that due diligence and ask questions that you didn't even think you needed to ask, as silly as it may be, because again, those are the factors. But I love the idea of taking commercial space and embedding, especially vertically, residential space, because, there's little shops in this mall where if you live there, you could take care of a lot of, little things. So
very easily. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very accessible,
Great
very
idea.
convenient. I mean, any more convenience is that is what's going to make your business thrive. The more convenient, I mean, Fresh is an epitome of that. Like the more you can be convenient for your client, the more valuable it's going to be to the general public. Just, common sense. So those are all great points, man. I love what you guys are doing. I just love that you're doing your due diligence. Like you're not just out there throwing money around hoping it sticks. Like, and then we've talked about that before. Like you have to be willing to walk away from some deals. And I think, especially as this market begins to shift, you're going to start to see some deals that look really good, and just be cautious because it's like, well, hey, why is this such a good deal? And a lot of times it could be a zoning issue, or it could be something that they don't want to disclose, because commercial real estate is different than residential on the disclosure side too. Commercial,
it is.
Oh yeah. Commercial, you don't have, at least in Pennsylvania, you don't have to disclose anything about the property. What it's all in their a buyer's due diligence period. Whereas
it's their responsibility.
Residentially, I have to disclose if there's a foundation issue or if there's an electrical issue.
If somebody was murdered there.
You can't say that. If it's not a detriment to the house, unless they dug them up and put them in the basement floor, which has happened in Erie.
No, if it was a crime, if it was a crime scene, like if somebody was murdered.
Yeah, but if you're the seller, if you're the seller's agent, you cannot disclose it unless it's pertinent to the home structure.
Really?
No, it cannot just.
It's the Wild Wild West.
Yeah. But I got interviewed on a Halloween because they asked about haunted houses. And listen, if you are a seller and you think your house is haunted, your agent should not, and they should not disclose that you think it's haunted. You don't have any proof of that per se. It has to be detrimental to the structure of the home. And this is true. Like, let's say somebody passes away in the home, and it might be on the news and public knowledge. But if I'm representing the seller, I cannot tell somebody that. Now, if they say, "Hey, did X, Y, or Z pass away here?" They might tell by the look on your face, but technically you cannot do anything that would be a detriment to your client if it's not detrimental to the home.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
So
Yeah.
usually it's called. I think the term is stigmatized.
Oh yeah, yeah.
This-
Stigmatized
is-
properties.
it's stigmatized property. In other places, you got to disclose that. I guess.
And again, I think that's where, because my wife and I, we still own a place, but the gentleman took his life, and my wife didn't know that when we bought it. I did. I didn't feel it was necessary to disclose to her until she had a neighbor come over, and my wife's like, "Hey, do you want to go see the basement?" And she's like,
No, hell no.
And my wife's like, "What happened?" And I'm like,
Laban didn't even tell his wife. Wow.
"Well,
Like,
I
That's
mean,
special.
this one little small thing happened.
but there was nothing detrimental to the home,
Oh,
like
of
that,
course
it was-
not.
so, yeah.
Fresh, I'll ask you the last question. The gentleman from Richmond had wanted to know if you are part of like a chamber of commerce or any networking groups, and if that has helped you at all.
Yeah. So I mean, throughout my investing career, I've been a part of different REI groups, which kind of start out as a real estate investment groups initially. And then as a business professional, you should try to join the local chamber of commerce. It's a few of them. Like certain places, they'll have like one for the county. They'll have one for the for the area. But chamber of commerce are big, especially if you have a brick and mortar place. They will do
networking
ceremonies. They'll put you in publications.
So
those are big to be a part of chamber of commerce and different organizations. But there's always groups. I mean, there's groups using things we use on a daily, like Facebook has groups.
Yep, they do.
Oh yeah.
The vet things you can find. Like I found properties on Facebook in the old school. I mean, I think it still exists. It's Craigslist. People, you still find things on.
Very true.
Craigslist. It's not, even though I think Facebook is kind of cornered the market on there. It's probably still
Facebook Marketplace, right?
So being a part of networking groups are very big. That's where you're gonna meet. You're gonna meet people. And here's a little jewel that a lot of people don't know, pay attention to. See, what happens is if you're looking for other investors, so say primarily money or credit partners or equity partners, don't go looking for them in the real estate or the groups that you're in. So you try to be a part of. Go to other, like there's a dentist group or like some other group,
sales group I've been in.
They got nothing to do with what you're doing, because everybody in that real estate group is looking for the same. Oh yeah, you got cash, you got credit, you got partner. You be a part of.
Well,
these
but
other
fresh,
groups.
And that's where I think it's important. We all are in somehow with kids coaching. And I've said this before, like I literally had a guy come up to my house last night to pole vault at my house, and he just closed on a house Friday that he bought that one of our agents had listed. But I said, like, that's something that I need to get better at as a coach, to say, hey, listen, I coach the pole vault, but the reason I can coach is because I sell real estate. So if you know somebody looking to buy or sell real estate,
networking.
Let me know. But that's where within a pole vault group or a track and field group, I am the real estate professional that you need to look to if you have any questions about it. So you're exactly right. Don't go into real estate groups looking for real estate. Get into other groups that are hobbies. I mean, I play table tennis, whatever blows your hair back. Get into those groups and let people know what you do. And that, hey, if you know anybody looking to buy or sell, have them give me a call. And those one or two leads could be the difference, or the deal that you never expected. So I think that's big, is letting people know what you do, that you're an investor and what you're looking for.
So exactly, and to add to that, so Laban mentioned table tennis. The biggest thing right now, believe it or not, amongst aging people 55 plus is pickleball.
They all love it. You're right.
You need to go, and Laban gonna put the thumbs down. Laban, I guarantee.
No, they do. They do. He's right.
10% increase in your business if you go start playing pickleball.
They love it.
People got money. People 55 plus, they got money and they playing pickleball.
Well, and we said that But we've said that like about Harley Davidson groups, or a buddy of mine that just came back from California is in a Corvette group. And it's like, hey, listen, if you have a Harley or you have a Corvette, you have some disposable income. Right?
Income.
And so I think that's that whole idea, is surround yourself with people who, again, even if they don't have the money, they know somebody that does, that might be able to, exactly collaborate with. So the biggest thing that we're talking about is just networking and letting people know what you're doing and what you're looking for. And one of the last things I'll say, because I've talked to investors, and I know as a real estate broker, somebody's going to be successful the more specific they get about what they want. Right? We all know the things we're looking for down to the T. If somebody says, well, I just want a cash flow, it's like, well, what area of the market? I don't really care. When somebody says, hey, I want to be within a half a mile of the university, I want rents to be at least $200 over my debt service, the more specific you can get, the more likely you are to find it. And that is the biggest thing. So really know what you want.
Down to a T.
Yeah, and that's not to say that you can't veer off. And I always tell buyers, like, if you can find 75% of your list of 100%, make an offer, because you're never going to find 100% of what you're looking for. And so, again, back to what these guys were saying, get started, at least make an offer, right? And that was where Robert Kiyosaki always told you, if you're going to start investing in real estate, look at 100 homes, make 10 offers, consider 3 of them, and accept 1. And I always tell people, I am your 100. Like, I have looked at over 100 properties for you. So as you start to look at investment properties with my eyeballs with you, I'm going to help you not have to look at 100. I can help you look at 10 and know that 3 of them you should make offers on and 1 of them you should accept. And again, I think we've talked about that before, Fresh, because you're more like a sniper. You're one and done. No, but it's something where evaluate so many different deals, and that is going to be the experience you need. You don't have to physically walk through the property. Just look at the numbers. How is it cash flowing? Is it cash flowing? What are the expenses? And so those are the best ways. Just keep doing your due diligence.
Razul, have you done any networking groups at all? Like a Chamber of Commerce or like a BNI, something like that. Has that helped you at all?
Yeah, so CCREA, like what Fresh alluded to before, Real Estate Investment Groups or Association, is the kind of where I got my education. When I started, Linda Baumgartner was the head of it, and they had a mentoring course. I was talking about this earlier today, actually, and between me and my 30 to invest in a property, which is not a lot, especially if it's not owner occupied and you got to get traditional financing. It's going to be, even back in 2018 where there's a lot cheaper opportunities, it would have been hard to find something. So we had 32,000, and I'm in this course with $6,000. So I'm like, damn, I'm looking at it, I'm like, if I spend 6, we're only going to have 26 to invest. And she told me, she was like, listen, if you take the course, what you learn in the course is going to help you buy your next. And I was reluctant, and I was like scared, and I slept on it, but I kept getting this message that said, if you want to do something, you got to be around people that are doing it. So I made the leap, and I invested $6,000. And what I learned in that course, it did help me get track that I closed on before the course was completely over. And the value and knowledge I got from it has paid itself back 100 times. Yeah.
All right. Well, Razul,
education, man, you got to invest in yourself.
You do.
And always be a student. Rarely a teacher, always a student. I'm always learning. Even though a lot of people might reach out to, get knowledge and stuff like that, but I'm always looking to learn, always looking to pick up some new stuff, and I think that helps me be a better entrepreneur, a better investor.
Razul, I'll be up next week, so I'll let you know. I'm coming up for a few days, so I'll text you.
Let me know the date as soon as you can.
Yeah,
Because I might be able to have space. If you don't have a place already, I might.
Maria said I can stay with her. I don't know why she likes me, but she said I
Okay,
can stay
all
with her.
right.
But yeah, I'll be
All
down.
right, well,
with
let me know the dates anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna we'll get together.
For one night, Collie, at least one night.
No,
After one night, she might make you get a hotel.
She might throw me out. And let me know. I sent you that commercial real estate software my friend developed. If it's
Oh yeah,
anything
I
you're
didn't get to
interested
look
in.
at it yet.
I'll
I
send
gotta
it to you
review
too,
it. I will
Fresh.
look at it.
A friend of mine sells commercial real estate in Boston. He developed a software for people who are interested in commercial real estate.
Oh, that's awesome.
And now that's all he does. The software's taken off and doing really well. I was going to have Razul talk with him.
Spreadsheet? Is it a spreadsheet?
I'll send you a link to the website. I don't know how the software works exactly. He's got a website. I'll send you a link to the website. You can check it out. See if it's something you're interested in. It's one of my best friends from high school. So if you like it, I'll have you talk with him. But I'll definitely send it over, the link to the website. And I don't think you need it, right, Laban?
I mean, I'd take it for sure.
You want to take a look?
Yeah,
take a look at it.
Take a look. Yeah, you never know.
Get into data. I love data. I'm always curious to see what they use for analysis.
Yeah, he created it himself. It's amazing how he did it. But yeah, I'll send it to all three of you. But great job from everyone.
Great.
And
great to see you guys.
We will obviously mention the Fresh Fold Laundry Company just outside of Chapel Hill, North Carolina, a high-end laundry service offering now pickup with a 20-mile radius. 20 miles. You put your clothes out, they come, pick it up, wash, dry, fold it for you at lightning speed records, and then you come get it when you're done. They have an online subscription model, weekly or bi-weekly. You can join, and they have deals for college students. And you also book online for the pickup service. So incredible options. You don't have to go in the store. Everything is done for you. And it's just amazing. Go to the website, which is freshfold-laundry.com. And I have to mention again, we're very happy. Luther James Insurance, James Whitfield. He does financial services, mainly life insurance and retirement planning. He knows that fear of the unknown is real. Go to www.lutherjamesinsurance.com. So for Fresh himself, Ned Von Young, Fresh Fold Laundry Company, Laban Marsh, the king of real estate, Erie, Pennsylvania, Razul and Ja's awesome, Razul, jackass, Razul of the House of Changes and the Husky Investment Group, doing a lot of great work. It's Laban had said it. It's just amazing to see everyone having success and doing well in business. Very good to see. And Razul, I will definitely catch up with you next week. So, wow, we had some great numbers. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them right back at Razul.